Flying Brian here in the heart of Richmond, Virginia. I am helping out my brother who is recovering from surgery here at VCU. What I didn't know is that there's a significant piece of American history right out the back door of the hospital. Nestled behind this huge medical center amongst all the hustle and bustle is this. We're at the White House of the Confederacy in the heart of downtown Richmond. We're going to go inside and take a look around. Not only is the Confederate White House here, so is the Civil War Museum. And I actually don't have enough time to go through the White House, but I do have time to make a quick run through the museum. This was the executive mansion of the Confederate President Jefferson Davis and his wife Verena and their family from August 1861 until April 1865. It says the house was built in 1818 by Dr. Brockenbrough. One of the Davis children, Joseph, died in this house in April 1864 when he fell. Even President Lincoln visited the home. He was here on 4 April 1865, less than 2 days after Davis fled the city as the Civil War was coming to an end. 10 days later, Lincoln was dead, shot by an assassin. What have we here? A section of the propeller shaft from the famous ironclad Virginia, better known as the Merrimack, as in the Battle of the Monitor in Merrimack, an essential portion of machinery providing motive power to the ship in her engagements in the Hampton Roads. I think this was the end where the propeller was attached. Wow, pretty amazing. I know the ship was blown up by Confederate forces to prevent it from being captured by the Union Army, so this must have been salvaged from the bottom of the Elizabeth River. This end is tapered a slight bit, and there's a big keyway that would have locked the shaft into the engine machinery. This is the anchor of the Merrimack, again also known as the CSS Virginia. Cumberland's anchor chain draped along the wall here. I have paid the museum admission fee, and here's the first item of history that I am greeted by. A nice 3-inch bronze cannon. Bronze 3.3-inch rifled tube. Is the only known surviving rifled artillery piece made during the war at John Clark's New Orleans foundry. Various long guns. The plaque says this fancy coatee belonged to Private Richard Weaver of the Warrington Rifles, 17th Virginia Infantry. Looks pretty fancy for a private uniform. Private Weaver died of typhoid in the spring of 1862. That is a Charleston Light Dragoons cavalry helmet. Now here's something. The jacket of Captain John Quincy Marr, died 1 June 1861 at Fairfax Courthouse. And you can clearly see the hole left by the bullet that struck him down. Here's a pike or spear. Due to the lack of firearms at the outbreak of the war, this is all some soldiers had to fight with. An 1818 flintlock musket. Even by Civil War standards, this is a very outdated gun. Some swords. This jacket belonged to Private John Dimitri, who fought at the Battle of Shiloh out in Tennessee. This was his first and last battle, because he was wounded when a bullet struck him in the hip. Here's an old wooden canteen that was found after the Battle of Shiloh, and likely belonged to someone from Company D, 7th Arkansas Infantry. Very interesting. The effects of Major General Jeb Stuart. Stuart was considered by many to be the eyes and ears of General Robert E. Lee. His field desk, hat, revolver, saber, gauntlets, saddle, boots. There's his carbine. Jeb Stuart was badly wounded at Yellow Tavern just north of Richmond and died a few days later on 12 May 1864. Artillery shells and shot. That would be deadly, filled with black powder and lead shot. Talk about an anti-personnel device. Wow, a field notebook of Captain James Boswell. Boswell was riding with Stonewall Jackson when they were fired upon by their own troops. While Jackson was wounded and would die a few days later, Boswell was killed outright, the bullet tearing through this notebook he kept in his jacket. Here's some more on what happened to Stonewall Jackson. I don't know if this is Boswell's or Jackson's jacket. I've never seen one of these. It's a parole slip issued to a captured Confederate soldier, releasing him in exchange for taking an oath not to take up arms against the United States. Here's a headquarters tent. An example of one of Sherman's neckties. Union General Sherman was destroying southern railroads around Atlanta, Georgia, and his troops would heat up railroad tracks red hot and wrap them around trees or poles to prevent reuse. Here's a flag from a unit in my home state of North Carolina. Confederate battle flag of the 2nd, I'm not sure if that says 2nd, Virginia Infantry, captured at the Battle of Gettysburg, July 2nd, 1863. Here's a photo of some Confederate veterans at a reunion. Looks like they might be reliving Pickett's charge and likely shouting out the rebel yell. These are from various other military units. This museum is filled with the personal effects and, perhaps more important, the stories of the individual soldiers that participated, lived, and many times died during the American Civil War. I wish I had more time to look around and take more of this in. However, that will need to wait for another day. Remember, life is a journey. Enjoy the ride, and thank you for watching.